Stream key for Facebook didn't work and it crashed. Let's see.
And probably turn off the heater just in case. What's that? Cruz, California, and we are here with published author, as of today, author of the soon-to-be best-selling book, Ready, Set, Slow, Mr. Lee Holden himself. Hi, Lee.
Hey, Ben. What a great introduction. Thanks for that.
Congratulations on the release of your book, Ready, Set, Slow. I know it's been a long time coming. How do you feel on this amazing day, release day?
It feels great. It feels absolutely great. And as our good friend told me not so long ago, he said, Lee, there's slow and then there's too slow. And your book is too slow. So get this thing out. So it's finally here. Look, guys, I went to the bookstore and picked up a copy. I haven't even gotten sent a copy. I had to drive downtown Santa Cruz and I got my copy. So that was exciting. The lady checking me out was funny. Yeah, physical copy in hands. I was like, can I buy this book? And she was like, okay, what's your name? And I said, Lee Holden. She's like typing it in and she goes, oh, look at that. It's the same name as the guy who wrote this book. Yeah, it is the same name as the guy who wrote it.
Yep.
Fun moments.
We're working out a little echo issue in the audio at the moment. As far as I can tell, nobody is spotlighted, so there's a different explanation, video crew, that I'm sure you'll unearth shortly. In the meantime, many of you have potentially pre-ordered the book. In fact, we know many of you did because we had a contest. And today we're going to draw the winners. And if you won one of our many amazing prizes for those who pre-ordered the book, then we'll let you know today. Of course, you don't have to be here. If you're watching this on the replay, that's okay. If you won, we'll reach out by email and figure out how to get you your prize. And we're going to be doing that today. The next thing we're going to do, well, actually, before we do the drawing and share the winners, we are going to talk to Lee a little bit and have him share some of his inspiration, some of why he wrote the book, a little bit about the journey, and then take us on a little bit of an excerpt, do some reading and an exercise. So a bit of reading and a little bit of one of the exercises from the book. It'll be a meditation, so we're not going to do movement practice today. For many of you who are just coming off of one of our Tai Chi course practice parties and going to go to the subscription class tomorrow. Not going to throw the extra movement in there today, but the meditation is important. And at the moment, we are all over the top book in Amazon meditation department. Congratulations, Lee.
Oh, that's cool.
It is
Super
pretty cool.
Yeah.
The audio book and the physical book. So people are picking it up and it's getting some momentum. So
nice.
Where we do all that, we're going to take questions. Now we're doing Q&A, old school, Tea with Lee style. For those of you who remember that, write them in the chat. Then we will collect a bunch of them. We're going to very much be focused on the topics today, the slow method. Lee's book is all about the slow method, different aspects of how to sort of integrate it into your life. And that certainly includes, Qigong practice and meditation and things that are obviously his 30 years of experience teaching. But this isn't just sort of a normal class Q&A. So we're very focused on the topics of the book. And team is going to be gathering those up from all the different places. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can put them in the chat. We'll gather them up. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can put a comment on the post and we'll gather those up. If you are watching this on Zoom, you can put your comments in there. We're not taking any hand raising, so I'm going to just go ahead and lower that, Joel. Today is not a live Q&A day, so we'll be doing them via chat. So please type them in. And all is well. So from there, we're just going to kind of get started with Lee. My apologies. I just want to talk a little bit about your inspiration for writing the book. And I think first, I'd love to hear just sort of the 2-minute version of why you decided to write this book. What was your
Only 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
I'm gonna have to go quick.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it was a good story actually, because my good friend and literary agent, Doug Abrams, he invited me on a trip to Maui with him. He's like, Lee, you want to come to Maui with me? I'm on a book retreat, and I'm going to go see one of my authors over there. And, you know, if somebody invites you on a trip to Maui, you know, I tend to say yes, because that's like, okay, let's go to Maui. And I was like, by the way, Doug, I have a book I'm working on. It's called The 5 Paths to Inner Power. It's based on the 5 elements. And he's like, sounds great. And he said, I'll read it on the plane. And so he read it on the plane, and he was like, you know, I think I really like the concept here, but I think there's a more mainstream book than a Chinese medicine book in you. So while we were in Maui and he was writing, I started writing, and I thought about what is the difference between Qigong and any other form of exercise, and it was slowing down. And so I started talking to Doug about this book, the concept of slowing down, and how slowing down improves so many different aspects of your life, whether it's eating slowly, exercise slowing, breathing slowly, and there's evidence in the West that supports all these Eastern practices. And so I came up with the title, The Power of Slow, and he really liked it. And I got almost the full, let's say, book proposal done in Maui at that time. That was some 4 years ago. And so that's why my friend said, hey, Lee, there's slow and then there's too slow, because you had this thing done, pretty much done. You only needed 10% more work. So what happened was I told Doug, I said, you know what? I got most of that book proposal done. I just got a final push. He's like, why don't you take me on a trip and I'll help you finish the book proposal. So we did. We went to Puerto Vallarta and sat either in the hotel room or at the beach and wrote for the whole week and finished it off. And then I went to my friends at Sounds True, because I have a few audio programs and some Qigong programs with Sounds True. And I said, hey guys, you wanna publish my book? And they said, absolutely. And it was as easy as that. I didn't even really look at other publishers, because I have such a great relationship with Sounds True and Tammy Simon and all the folks over there. And then Sounds True said, hey, we want it done in this particular way. Make it a little bit more spiritual as opposed to, let's say, Western science. And so we kind of revised a few things, put in some cool spiritual concepts and stuff, and some great stories, and away we went.
Very cool. That was a pretty impressive work, getting that into 2 minutes. And
did I do it? Okay. Yeah. I'm not even out of breath.
I'm impressed. Fantastic. Is that book an ebook? There is an ebook. There is an audio book that Lee himself narrates, and there is a print book. All 3 are available officially today. They were just released. I woke up to my Audible app telling me that my pre-order was available, and listened to Lee telling me about the slow method this morning. That was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's here in all those forms. So yes, you can buy it in all the major booksellers. Amazon is got a Kindle version, you know, all the usual stuff. So whatever format you like to consume your books in, you can go get it in that format, I think. Here's a question. I've been working with you for 10 years. By the way, for anybody who doesn't know who I am, I'm Ben. Hi. I co-founded Holden Qigong with Lee 10 years ago, almost, and actually pretty much exactly. And he and I have been working together a very long time to share Qigong and these principles, many of the principles, the Taoist principles, these Eastern principles that he's mentioning are all part of, sorry, the Western science is sort of catching up to, excuse me. And Lee, you've been teaching these for a very long time, and I've been obviously working with you for a long time, watching you teach these concepts for a long time, but the book is its own journey. What would you say was the most surprising part of the journey? Surprising part of putting those thoughts in?
In writing the book, you know, it is a journey, and because anytime you have something in your head that you want to share, and then you start to share it, whether it is talking about it or writing about it, it always comes out a little different, and it always is a journey in itself to express something that you have an inkling or an idea around, to be able to express it in a way that makes sense, that's entertaining, that progresses, is always a challenge. And so sometimes I'll think, I'm done, I finished writing it, and then I go back and read it and I go, geez, that just does not sound as good as I thought it did in my own head. And so go back, rewrite it, ask your friends to edit it, ask your parents to edit it. And you know, it's just such a work in progress to polish something in a way that is enjoyable and consumable, is really challenging. And so me being more of my style is like this, being on camera and sharing information visually, because Qigong is such a visual practice. And I have done so many appearances on TV and PBS and through our subscription. So writing it down was a huge challenge for me, and just, you know, developing those writing muscles. And you know, when I was talking to Doug about the idea of writing a book, he's like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "You're good on camera. It doesn't mean you're going to be a good writer." And so as I wrote this over the last 4 years, it was definitely an exercise in putting, you know, knowledge to paper, and which was such a different way of expressing oneself. So I'm really happy to have developed some of those writing muscles, because it was such a great challenge, and I think it came out really, really well. There's some fun little cheeky stories. I think some of it is even funny. You're going to read some stories about some of the students, probably right here in our Zoom room.
Yes, there are, I'm sure, stories about some of the people that are here today. You know, hopefully the names have been changed to protect the guilty or the innocent.
That is true. They have been changed.
Certainly, you know, in reading the introduction, sort of having it read to me, actually, I've read some of the book in pre-release form, but having it read to me by you, really just sort of settling into your voice and your telling your story about how you got into this and so on and so forth. If there's one lesson in the book that you sort of wish you'd learned much younger than you did, what would that one lesson be?
Ben, that is an excellent question. You surprised me with that one.
Yes.
And I think,
I
you know, this.
You got to think fast to teach slow. That's sort of.
You really do. You really do. That's why I'm giving a little banter beforehand, and in my mind I'm thinking about what that one lesson is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cool. I can talk and be thinking at the same time.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. Does it help when I say things to fill up the time?
It does. You know, I mean, the whole concept of this book of slowing down is something that needs to be reiterated and practiced and self-reminded all the time, because the natural tendency often, especially in modern life, is to hurry up or to speed up. And hurry up might not even be the right thing. It's just that our programming, our pre-programming often is to go a little quicker because we want to get things done. And the counterintuitive approach of slowing down is that you are more productive. So there is very specific things that we can do, and very specific things that we can do for our health and even our energy and even our practice, because there's a whole section in here on slow body and slowing down the body and slowing down the breath, and why there's so much science behind slow breathing and how it's so great for your health. But the slowing down doesn't mean you always go slow. And so what I wish I would have known way back in the day was that you can be going quickly and even getting a lot done, but being slow in your mind. What I mean by that is sometimes, for example, I have 4 children. And in the morning at my house, everybody's sort of in a hurry to get out the door before school. And so I'm making breakfast, I'm doing lunches, taking care of whatever needs to be taken care of that was unexpected. Even though I'm going quickly, I'm breathing slowly and I'm keeping my mind slow. So if you enter into a slow state, you will also enter into a flow state. And I didn't ever realize that, but you can be being slow within yourself, even though you're being very efficient in whatever actions you're taking. And I think that is something that we didn't really fully flesh out throughout the book, but you can go quickly and stay slow and calm within yourself. And I wish I would have known that in, college or early days of working or, production days when everybody's like, we got to get more done. Okay, stay calm within yourself, because that slowness leads to flow state. Flow state leads to peak performance, whether you're parenting on camera, doing a sports performance, or you're an artist, or you're writing. All of those internal calmness and inner flow state has this way of coalescing your internal energy into a powerful force.
Beautiful. I love that. Slow doesn't necessarily mean not fast, is what I'm hearing.
That's right. It's very yin yang.
Very yin yang. Perfect. Well, one more question, then we'll dive into letting you do your the reading, and then take us on a little brief exercise, which I'm looking forward to both, even though I heard you read it in the audiobook, but I'd like to watch you read it, part of it. I'm looking forward
Very
to
nice.
that. My last question is, looking forward in time, if we can share this work with the world at large, how do you see the principles of this book sort of helping, changing the way that people live and connect and work in the future?
Yeah, great. Another great question, Ben. I think in terms of big picture, what happens when people move slowly? And if we could bring this work out into the world in a big way, you move out of survival and you move into your heart. So you move out of stress mode and into heart mode, because these two energies often are in competition with one another. When we're in survival mode, we're thinking very self-centrically. When we are out of stress and into relaxation mode, all of a sudden we start thinking globally, and we start thinking altruistically. We start feeling more loving kindness. It's a switch inside of us that when we slow down, you move out of stress mode, you move out of self-centric, I need to get more for me, into more of a generous, loving kindness, compassionate way. And if we can, in a big way, move out of survival mode and into compassion mode, I think we can make a big shift in how we treat each other, how we treat the planet, and how we show up for each other in this big, beautiful world of ours.
I love that idea. Let's do that, folks.
Let's do that.
And thank you all for being here. You're contributing right now by being part of this community to us doing that. All of us in the world do our little part to help make that happen. And here you are being part of that. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. All right, Mr. Holden, I'm going to turn it over to you if you're ready to give us a little bit of shine a little bit of the slow light upon us. Are you ready?
All right. Yeah, sure. Let's see if I can. I'll start off with the beginning. How about?
Okay, perfect. Everybody settle in. It's going to be a 6-hour ride.
Yeah. When I did the audio version of the book, it took me 3 days, 8 hours each day.
Yep.
That was a lot harder than I expected as well, to sit in an audio booth for that long and just read, because all of a sudden after reading for 30 minutes, all of a sudden your mind's like, okay, time to take a break. And the audio engineer and the audio editor are like, keep going. You got another 6 hours. So I kept taking chi breaks.
Good.
So
get that flowing. All right, take it away.
Here is the introduction, you guys, and it starts with a quote from the Tao Te Ching. And here's what Lao Tzu said in the Tao Te Ching, written some 2,000 years ago. The soft overcomes the hard, and the slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. The slow overcomes the fast. Very turtle hair beginnings. Okay, so the story goes, imagine for a second that you hurried through the most precious moments of your life. Having your 40th birthday dinner at your favorite restaurant would be a battle against the clock. There you'd be, eating as swiftly as possible, scarfing down that freshly caught lobster and caviar like a golden retriever who hasn't been fed in days. Imagine chugging that premium Italian glass of wine, whose grapes were slowly grown in the mountains of Sicily, like a dry-mouthed runner at the end of a half marathon. And then there's that romantic night in the bedroom with your partner. You burst open the door, not because of your uncontrolled passion. Oh no. You've got no time for sexy entrances, no time for sweet nothings and gentle caresses, no time for romance. Instead, you both engage in a clumsy, rapid fumble through intimacy, skipping the build-up and crossing the finish line as quickly as possible before briskly falling asleep. How about that trip to Paris you've always dreamed of? You'd get to the airport and hop in a cab, which zooms all over the city at record speed, just enough to catch the glimpse of the Eiffel Tower, the exterior of the Louvre, and the underbelly of the Arc de Triomphe, before speedily delivering you back to the airport. Paris, tick. Sounds ridiculous, right? So we're making fun of the fast and the hurried because often the best moments in life are the ones we get to savor and enjoy. In fact, we want to create more moments of elevated energy each and every day. And that's a little bit what the book is about, how to create more moments with this feeling of peace, feeling of elevation, feeling of joy. And it's not that we're always living in that elevated, joyful state, but it's that we get to experience more deep moments of connection each and every day by slowing down. And as we're drinking some tea right here, I earmarked a little section in the middle of the book called Welcome to the Mindful Tea Shop. And this is a little story about a good friend of both Ben and myself. His name is David, and I did not change his name because, we want to shine a little light on David and his beautiful tea shop here in Santa Cruz. Probably one of the best tea shops I've ever been to in the whole wide world. Ben, you might agree, huh?
Absolutely, but I haven't been to China. You have.
I have, yeah, and I still think this little tea shop in Santa Cruz is still my number one.
Magical place.
Speaking of China, just reminds me of a story. I was trying to find good tea in China. I was in Chengdu, China, and it's really close to Yunnan, where pu'er tea comes from. So they have a lot of pu'er tea in Yunnan. And I went to the park early one morning to do Qigong practice. I finished my Qigong set, and I crossed the street. I'm walking down the street, and in my mind, I said, I want to find a really good tea shop. And it's a big city. In China, it's actually considered a small city. It's like 4 or 5 million people. But nobody speaks English. I was definitely the only blonde Caucasian that I saw the whole 10 days I was there. And so I'm walking with a good friend of mine, and we're trying to find a tea shop, and we're trying to catch a taxi, and nobody would stop. It was a very busy road, and I think they thought, oh, there's a Caucasian guy, let's not pick him up. He doesn't look like he knows where he's going. So I kept trying to hail taxis, and after about 15 minutes of nobody picking us up, we started to just look around, and right behind me was a tea outlet. It was an exporting place of tea. It wasn't even a shop, so we kind of poked our heads in there like, hello, you have tea for sale? And the guy spoke English, and he was a distributor of pu'er tea, like for the whole world. And I went in there, we sat on a few boxes and had one of the best cups of tea I've had in my whole life. I bought a few bricks of tea, and it was right behind me all along. But I didn't slow down enough to notice it until nobody picked me up. So that was a nice spontaneous story on tea.
I love that.
All right. Welcome to the Mindful Tea Shop. Okay, so before I share the mindful tea ritual with you, to start training your mindful muscles tomorrow morning, let me tell you about the story of a man I once met in a tea store in California. On a rare occasion, we meet someone who embodies mindfulness, who is so eminently here and now that just being around them alters our experience of the moment. These people seem to radiate technicolor tranquility. They emanate a profound stability. Rather than succumb to the state of constant distraction, so easy in today's world of technology overload, they remain calm, present, and endlessly curious about the present moment. I lived and worked near one of these rare individuals. He owned a tea shop, and unlike the cafes scattered on every corner, this tea shop didn't allow the use of cell phones or computers. There was no Wi-Fi, and he was proud of that. The instant you walked into the tea house, there was a palpable shift for the better in your state of mind. I walked in one morning and greeted David, the owner, with a simple, "Good morning, how are you?" He looked at me and responded with one word, "Fascinated." I smiled at his unique response. We are asked how we are multiple times a day, but very few of us answer truthfully or mindfully. He smiled at me and turned his attention out the window toward the old birch tree outside, watching the breeze dance through the branches and leaves for a moment. He nodded to himself. Yes, he definitely seemed fascinated. Then he held my gaze for just a second before asking me for my order. In this brief encounter, David had somehow managed to grasp my attention and stabilize it beneath the surface of my ordinary thinking mind. Everything became more alive, more colorful. The light through the trees sparkled brighter, and the sound of footsteps going by was almost melodic. It was as if the window of my awareness had been wiped clean. Does that sound like a good experience of David? You've had a few of those too, huh, Ben?
Yes, even just walking into that place has, it's half the battle. He's just created a sort of a field of becoming present. But then, a little extra assistance, he'll give it to you. It's weird way.
Anytime I ask him how he's doing, he never says fine. He never says good. How are you? Nope. It's always some, like fascinated and just staring off into the trees, and you're just like, oh wow. One time I asked him how hey David, how are you? And he said, Lee, I don't know. That's a very hard question to answer, because for me to answer that, I'd have to know who I am, and I'm still figuring that out. I was like, yep, that's true. So David's a local Zen master.
Yeah, your cup of tea will always come with a little something extra. For sure.
Yeah, a little philosophy.
Can't just get tea from David.
So here's to all of you guys. Thanks for being here. A little cup of gratitude. Cheers, everybody. Mindfulness over tea, and then what I do after this is I share a tea ritual, or a coffee ritual, a drink ritual. Of gratitude that can bring you into the moment just on one sip. So throughout the book, there's scattered ways of just becoming present, mindful, by slowing down in our everyday life circumstances. Whatever drink of choice you have in the morning, we can take 30 seconds to slow down, to drop in. You could do it with the whole cup. You could do it with one sip. And all of a sudden you've had a more enjoyable cup of whatever. Ben, do we have, can we go into another one?
Yes, I think we have time.
Before we do our meditation?
Yep, let's do it.
Yep, and this comes from a section, if you can worry, you can meditate. If you can worry, you can meditate. Because a lot of people often come to me and say, I can't meditate, I can't quiet my mind. And then I say something that one of my teachers way back told a friend of mine, because I brought a friend of mine to this meditation class, and he was sitting there and he kind of had one eye open, and we were doing this meditation, and then he nudges me and he's like, I can't do this. I'm going to leave. I'll see you after meditation at soccer practice. And I was like, and so he gets up and he starts to leave, and right in the middle of the meditation, the teacher's like, hey, where are you going? And I go, oh, he's kind of embarrassed. He's like, sorry, I just can't meditate. And the teacher said, young man, can you worry? And he was like, yeah, I can worry. I worry all the time. And he's like, oh, great. If you can worry, you can meditate. Have a seat. And so
good.
the story goes on and on in this one to talk about how if you can worry, you can meditate. Worry is just meditation on the thing you don't want. If you just turn it around and worry about all the things that you actually do want, your mind is focused, you're concentrating on something, which is often a worry, but we just focus on the positive, now you're meditating. And so I talk about how to just switch the mind from one frequency to another frequency. We're meditating all the time, folks. Often I tell my kids, oh, you guys are meditating on Instagram again, huh? Your mind is focused. You lose track of time. You're concentrated. I said, this is passive meditation, meaning that somebody's just feeding you what you should think about. Now, active meditation is when you feed yourself what to put your attention on. And so we're meditating all the time. We're just getting now much more control of the facets of the mind. And unfortunately, more people pay more attention to their devices than they do their own consciousness. People pay more attention to their money and the stock market than their own valuable energy system. And if we slow down, we will really truly see what's valuable to us. Our own minds, our own emotions, our own energy systems. By slowing down, we can really start to cultivate the quality of energy and state that we want to be in. So speaking of Chengdu, this is another story. When I was in China, that same trip where I bought the tea from the tea guy that was right behind me that I didn't know about, I was there filming a Tibetan master, and this master was incredible. I mean, he was truly, I might even say, he was the one enlightened being that I've met in my life. And we were interviewing him for a documentary that we were doing, but he was in town from Tibet in China. Chengdu is the closest city to Tibet. And we were sneaking into his hotel room to get some footage of this guy because of the relationship between Tibet and China. They wouldn't let anybody film him. So he was a very well-known Tibetan Lama that they kept saying when you're around him, he will often perform miracles. And so we were like, let's bring the camera crew in. We had an opportunity to spend 3 or 4 days with him, and we did just that. So this is the interview. So it was 2018, and I was sitting in a hotel room in northern China interviewing a world-renowned Tibetan Lama. He was highly revered. He was a highly revered rock star in his country and had an entourage of monks by his side, tending to his every request. There was like 30 monks with him, and when we took a walk one day, one monk held his bottle of water. One monk held an umbrella over his head so that he wouldn't get too much sun. Somebody else had some snacks for him. Somebody else was like holding the back of his robe. I was like, wow, we're in the presence of a true Tibetan rock star. I felt honored to interview him. After introducing myself, I brought up the topic of mindfulness meditation and how popular it was becoming in the Western world. I asked him to explain the concept in his own words. He looked at me and responded with a short sentence in Tibetan. The translator then offered me the English translation. Where are you? I paused. The translator continued. He asked you the question. Where are you? And I smiled and responded, well, I'm here. The monk responded again in Tibetan. The translator replied, how do you know? I was taken aback by the simplicity of the question and the Lama's piercing yet loving gaze. I felt a funny sensation come over me, as if the room had somehow become wider. It was as if my peripheral vision expanded. I didn't know how to respond in words, but I felt it in my bones. I was right there with him, totally at one with my surroundings. My mind quieted. The vast spaciousness entered into my awareness, and the monk smiled knowingly. This was mindfulness meditation. You are here. You were always here, even when you forgot and got very lost in the dream of your mind, is what he said. For the rest of the day, it was surprisingly hard not to be in the present moment. As the camera crew pushed me for plans for the upcoming week, I had to make a special effort to focus on the future. I was so present and rooted in the moment that I had become fascinated by the here and now. Usually, it was difficult for me to stay in the present, but this time it felt very different. And this huge psychological change had come about due to the dazzling simplicity of one powerful question: where are you? So there was more to the story, because he did also, he asked me this question, but he also then did like a blessing and did some chanting. And everybody in the room was completely mesmerized, or there was a big shift in the energy. In fact, the one camera guy who was in the room, he was trying to film, but tears were streaming out of his face, and he was crying, and he kept whispering to me, Lee, what's going on? There's water coming out of my face. It was like, I turned around and looked at him, there was snot and tears. He was just beside himself, and he didn't know why. And so it was just like this big wave of energy from this master when he asked us this question. So it was the question, but there was this very interesting like blessing or grace of the master that came through at that moment. And it was really an interesting experience it wasn't even the rest of the day. It was 2 or 3 days for me, like planning. I was trying to change my flight back home. I was trying to talk to airlines, and it was almost impossible to even like think about the future and try to do logistical things. I just kind of wanted to meditate, go for a walk in the park, do some qigong. So it was a really interesting experience with this master. And then I go on to talk about the Where Am I meditation that he took us through. It's a very simple practice. I'm sure some of you have done it with me, but we can all do it together. How's that sound? Let's do a little meditation. Let's slow things down and bring ourselves into the present moment. Now, this meditation can be a formal meditation, meaning I'm going to sit down and meditate. Or it can be an informal meditation where you're going through your day and you notice that your mind is getting a little unruly. Things are happening that are unexpected, and you're feeling maybe a little bit of emotional stress, and your mind is, let's say, starting to get fraught with worries or anxiety or mental stress. You can do a Tai Chi, sort of a keto move on your mind by asking yourself this question. So sometimes when I feel like my mind is starting to get out of balance, I'll just, wherever I am, I just say to myself, where am I? And I remind myself that I am not in my head, in my imagination of all the things going on. I'm not in my past. I'm actually right here. And then I deeply feel into where here is. I'm like, okay, where am I? I'm here. And then the important part is to ask a follow-up question, which is, how do you know you're here? How do you know you're here? And what we do then is answer that question by tuning into our senses. Well, I know I'm here because I can see the lights in the room. I can see the colors on the wall. That's actually happening right here, right now. I can feel this chair at my back. I can feel the floor underneath me. All of a sudden, my attention, my mind is in the moment, is on something that is here rather than something in the future or the past. And then all of a sudden is this ninja move where your mind comes back to the moment. Now, when I go back into ordinary thinking, I'm already calmer, I'm more relaxed, I'm more stabilized in the moment. And when I start to think about the future, my mind becomes more focused. I make better choices because I'm in a better internal state, and I feel more relaxed. So where am I meditation can be done in any moment, or it could be an actual formal meditation practice. And I love it as a meditation practice because it is so clarifying and so simple. So let's all start. We can even start with eyes open, and just let me ask you the same question the Tibetan asked me. Where are you? And I want you to ask this question sincerely, like you're waking up from a nap, and sometimes when you wake up from a nap and you say, wait a second, where am I? And then you have to start to get your bearings. Oh yeah, I'm in the room. You ever had a nap like that? Or you ever woke up in the morning, you're like, wait a second, where am I? I want you to have that as the experience. Where am I? And just get curious for a moment. Where am I? Because we assume we know where we are, right? But we're on this beautiful planet. It's spinning through space in this big, vast, infinite universe. Where are we? Okay, and we come back to the moment. I'm here. So in your mind, you say, I'm here. Where am I? I'm here. Now feel where here is. How do you know you're here? And just take a moment to tune in with your mind. When I say mind, I mean your attention, to your visual consciousness. Notice the room, and you could just even let your peripheral vision expand. You don't have to necessarily look around, and just say, okay, I see the plants to the side. I see the painting. I see the color of the wall. And when you look, just look. No judging. No, oh, I need to move that plant over there. Oh, the color of the wall, I need to paint it a different color. Let the judgmental mind just be very quiet and just look. Where am I? I'm here. How do I know I'm here? Because I can see the colors. I can see the floor. I can see the lights. Take a deep breath into that. Good. Now close your eyes and let's ask the question again. Where am I? And just answer, I'm here. How do I know I'm here? Well, I can hear the sounds of the room. I can hear the ambient noise. I can hear Lee's voice. If I'm hearing the sounds in the room, those are happening right here, right now, and I place my mind on them. I notice them. I observe them. Now, the fullness of my mind is in the moment. That is why it's called mindfulness. The fullness of my attention is here and now on what I'm hearing. Where am I? I'm here. How do I know I'm here? I can feel. I can kinesthetically feel the chair at my back. I can feel the clothes on my skin. These are happening right here in this moment. I can feel the breath come in through my nose and move the bones of my rib cage and chest. And when I exhale, I can feel the air going out through my nose, and I feel the rib cage softening as the breath moves out. I'm here because I can feel my breathing. And as I pay attention to my breath, I can slow it down. And as I slow down my breathing, my nervous system becomes calm. My mind relaxes. Tension releases from my body. Your breathing is the bridge between your mind and body. It's the way that the mind and body communicate. Slow down your breathing. Your whole system says, I can relax into the moment. I can be at peace right here, right now. Where am I? Answer the question in your own mind. And place your mind on something that's happening right here, right now. Feel the muscles in your neck and shoulders relax. Feel the breath becoming a little bit deeper and a little bit slower. And as you slow down the breathing and your mind becomes more present, the subtle energies of this moment become unveiled. They start to become noticed. Sense the air on your face. And sense the energy, the chi, the life force within you. This moment has secrets to reveal when the mind becomes calm and relaxed and present. Take a nice, slow, deep breath. And then just slowly open your eyes. Let the light filter in. Start taking in the light through your visual awareness. Take one more slow breath. And what a nice journey into the depth of the present moment with a good question. Good questions lead to good answers. Where am I? I'm here with all of you. Wonderful little simple mindfulness practice. It's very Zen in its style because it's inquiry meditation, meaning you ask a question. What happens when you ask a question is that the mind will want to answer it. So even a simple question, where am I? And the mind's going to, well, we're here. And then we just keep unfolding into the moment by repeating that question.
Very cool.
Speaking of questions, Ben, maybe people have some questions.
Yes, people do. There have been a lot of questions coming our way. But first, we are going to announce prize winners from the pre-order festivities. And then we'll roll on into questions and answers. So thank you very much for leading that, Lee. I love how 2 minutes is long enough to just shift gears completely.
Big time. And it was, 2 or 3 minutes, under 5 minutes, and we created a slow shift, but it didn't take a lot of time.
Yep.
So that's the beauty about these kinds of practices.
Yes, indeed. All right, folks. Well, as you stay in the present and keep your breathing slow and steady, don't get too nervous and anxious and end up with shallow breathing because you're wondering if you won one of the pre-order prizes.
We might have to go right back to the meditation afterwards.
Exactly, and chill out.
Yeah.
So what we have is we have a few prizes. We have a few different levels of prize. There are several signed copies of the book. So Lee will be signing some copies of the book and we'll be sending those out to you, and we'll coordinate by email if you're a winner on how to get that address so that we can get that to you in the mail. We also are, Lee has been working with the Shift Network on a course. Is it called Power Up Slowly?
I think it is Power of Slow through Qigong.
Through Qigong, perfect. So we have a few seats in that course that's underway now that will be available for, I think, 5 of those prizes for a few of you. We have the 1 year of the subscription. Now, many of you are already subscribers. If you win this, then you get a year of subscription to Lee's 3 times a week Qigong classes over Zoom and live stream and the replays and all that. So the subscription to Lee's weekly classes as a Qigong teacher, there are a few 1-year passes for those. And then there are 2 one-on-one sessions with Lee. Lee will jump on a Zoom call with you, which is a pretty amazing prize. And we almost never offer anything like that because who has time for that when you have 4 kids running your house?
That's right.
So those are all the prizes. We're going to start with the signed copies of the book. Lee, do you have your pen ready?
I sure do.
All right, that's good. We're going to have a whole bunch of books showing up and getting those out the door to all of you. So if you hear your name, feel free to jump up and down and scream and shout. But if you don't, that's okay too. We'll understand. All right. Lee Nowakowski, you won a signed copy of the book.
Nice. From Lee to Lee.
Yep. Lise St. Louis. Congratulations. You won a signed copy of the book.
Oh, nice.
One moment. Sorry. Good. Then we have, sorry about that. Okay, Margaret Lynch. Congratulations, you won a signed copy of the book. Linda Kronk. Congratulations. Julia Woods. Philomena Rodriguez. Nicole DuPont. Laura Albert. Congratulations, all of you. Signed copies coming your way. We will reach out by email again. Muriel Grejmans. I am probably butchering your name. I am very sorry about that. Christina Cockler. Congratulations. Kim with the last name OB, at least in our database. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, just capital O, capital B. So Kim, but we'll send you an email. So if that's you, you'll find out that way. Harriet Cashinelli. Harriet Cashinelli, congratulations. Frank Sister, S-Y-S-T-E-R. Maybe I mispronounced it. If so, I apologize. All of you, if I'm just butchering your names, you know, should have made Lee do it. He's got audiobook experience. I don't.
I'm an expert now.
Exactly. Karen Lawrence, or Lawrence, perhaps. Daniela Siegenthaler. Daniela Siegenthaler. Misty Forrest. Sounds a good place to hang out and also a great name. Christine Shepard. Sam Skull. Harold Aiken. Ah, Lawrence. There you go, Karen. Thank you for the pronunciation tip. Karen told me how to pronounce her name. Harold Aiken. I think I just said that one. Helen Rowlands. Mermita Prince. Sue Vela. Benita Benini. Helen Levine or Levine, perhaps. And Birgit Nausenberger. I think I got that right, but I might have totally not gotten that right. So you have all won a signed copy of the book. Congratulations to all of those people I just mentioned. If you heard your name, be on the lookout for an email from us about your signed copy, and we'll make sure to get a current mailing address, get that out to you once Lee gets his little pile in a pile and starts going through them with his fancy pen. Lee, one of the first questions on the Q&A sheet is, did you already autograph your own copy?
I did not yet. That's a great idea.
I think so
I did
too.
earmark it though with a couple passages for us to read, so it's already earmarked.
Okay, earmarked for the passages. So he's already earmarking his own. It's probably going to write all over it and get his highlighter.
Highlight. Yeah, exactly.
Be like, if I had to do it over again, I'd write this part differently.
Exactly. I'm already thinking about book number 2. So
I'll bet. Well, you know, that's the problem with art. By the time it actually gets through the engine of getting things to print or to publication or out there in the world, you already know all the things that are wrong with it.
Right.
It's like every band, when the album comes out, they're like, I'm already way past all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay, next up, we have tickets to the Shift Network Power of Slow with Qigong course that's going on now. And we're going to get started with those. We have a few of those, starting with Marcella Winters. Marcella, you have won that prize. Again, be on the lookout for emails from us. David Young, congratulations. Tanetje Koning, Tannetje. So my apologies, don't know how to pronounce that. But congratulations, you have won the Shift Network Power of Slow with Qigong course. Dan O'Neill, congratulations. And Anne Dorte Lang. Congratulations to you all for winning that particular course. It is going on right now, the Shift Network's Power of Slow with Qigong course. And we will reach out by email and get you what you need to get registered for that and start working through this, the principles of the slow method with Lee in that course. How's that going, by the way, Lee?
It's going great. Yeah, it's good fun. We're doing some slow mind, slow body. We're definitely diving into Qigong and the principles of slow flow in these first weeks.
Perfect. Well, that's a good place to be. Also, one of those winners, Mr. Dan O'Neill, you also pre-ordered the most books, so congratulations on that. You are our biggest supporter, and in terms of this book launch, thank you so much, Dan. We really appreciate it. If you're here, just want to let you know how much we appreciate it. Okay, moving right along. We are now going to move on to a 1-year pass to the video class subscription. Now, again, this is for anybody who doesn't know. Lee teaches several days a week, most weeks, at least several classes a month. When he travels and stuff, we play classic classes and make sure to keep the content flowing through the subscription. So you have classes to practice with every week that are fresh, and Lee is doing that Monday, Wednesday, Fridays right now. Different times to support different time zones is our typical class schedule. And if you are a winner of this and you're already on the subscription, then you will just don't have to pay for a year. And if you're a winner of this and you are not already on the subscription, then we will get you hooked up and you can start coming to classes live over the internet or watching the replays and just sort of basking in the fresh ongoing training from Master Lee. All right, here are some winners. Number 1, Christy Nather, congratulations. Number 2, Liat Goodman. Again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but Liat Goodman, congratulations. Lori Van Aken. Congratulations, Lori Van Aken. And Nancy Foster, congratulations. And I think we're one name short, so we will pull one more name for that one because we were supposed to do 5. And we'll get that sorted, but I'm not going to announce it right now because we are running low on time. We do have Q&A. So we're going to move on to the 2 big prizes, which are 30-minute one-on-one sessions over Zoom with Mr. Holden himself. Are you excited about this, Lee? You get to
super excited.
It's a weird thing doing all this stuff online. You used to, teach a class and then you'd have people come and pester you.
That's right.
A variety of things. And,
yeah, this will be fun.
A lot more sort of one-on-one attention. You were doing acupuncture and Chinese medicine, so you deal with people one-on-one a lot. So I think you enjoy getting back to your roots here with these 2 lucky winners. One is Ina Clark. Congratulations. You get some one-on-one time with Mr. Holden. And Carolyn Lanes, or Lines, but Carolyn, congratulations. You also get some one-on-one time with Mr. Holden. All right.
Fantastic.
Yep, got a lot of winners, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much for supporting our book pre-launch. One of the big things about the book pre-launch is that, to get people to even know about these concepts, these Taoist principles, these ancient but super effective for modern times concepts that Lee has been distilling and teaching all this time, we just need a way to get their attention. And this book is just a way to take these principles and distill them and then make them available. But in order for people to get any benefit from it, they have to know it exists. So the pre-orders are enormously helpful for just sort of getting some momentum during those first really crucial couple of weeks to launch a book. And getting on bestseller lists is the best thing you can do to make sure other people know about the thing and spread these concepts, these principles. So if you have not ordered the book and you think you might be interested in doing so based on what you've heard today, please do in the next couple of days if you can. There'll be links hitting all the chats, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or over here. Oh, somebody just got a note from Amazon. Books on the front porch. Congratulations, Amy. Good
oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's great. They'll be flowing all day long. It's everybody's getting their shipments coming in pretty quick here. But yeah, please do. They'll be posting some links in all the chats, of course, where to go. Our page has some links out to different places you can buy it. Kindle form, ebook, Audible, if you're an audiobook person, the print book, of course, for those of us who love a feeling of a book in the hands. But it's all today officially available, and the most momentum that we can get is during that crucial first week or two. So if you have friends you think might benefit from it, any help you can give us in terms of spreading the word is obviously enormously appreciated during this crucial phase. And the pre-orders were a big part of that. So thanks so much. Donna says, Amazon just pulled up at my house. Congratulations.
Hey, Ben, we forgot to mention that in the book are links that almost all the exercises that I describe in the book, we filmed an exercise that goes with it. So not only do you get the book, but you get links to videos of the exercises that are in the books that we filmed right here. So those are bonuses. And the links are in there. You could just type them in and you get some great additional video coverage of the exercises. Because you know what? Sometimes it's hard to describe a particular thing in a book, especially if it's a movement, but it's much easier to see. So we filmed all of the movements that are in the book right here in the studio.
Yes, indeed. So the movements and the meditations, number of the exercises, there are video demonstrations of, so you can go in the book and find that link and just kind of get on that page and start doing them. Excellent. Good point, Lee. Thank you for mentioning that. All right. Time to dive into the questions. We have infinite number of questions. And first one right out of the gate kind of came in even before we got started. My question is, how does someone with hyperactivity slow down while trying to learn to slow down? It's like double or even triple the work. I have the hardest time trying to be slower, this person says.
Right? Great question.
And, I read that in a quicker voice.
Yeah. Oh, we get the point, because I think a lot of us have that, or will have that at different times during the day. And to do that, when we say hyperactivity, it usually means the mind. The mind is very quick in its thinking, quick in the way that it repeats thoughts. And if you have an active mind, this will help. What you do is something with your body. It's hard to slow the mind down by telling it to think slower, because the mind will often say, I am thinking slow, I'm thinking really slow, there's this and there's that, and it just keeps going with all the slow thoughts that it's not doing. But it's telling us all kinds of things, and most of the thoughts in our own minds, we didn't choose to think them. They just bubble up. And the pace at which they bubble up often is patterned very quickly. To help that, slow down your breathing. So do some wave breathing. One of the exercises, breathe to your belly, to your chest. And if you notice that if you do about 30 seconds or a minute of slow breathing, even 5 minutes of slow breathing, your mind will follow and be much calmer and much slower. That's one suggestion. There's many, many things in the book to help that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, certainly my experience being a hyperbrain person once upon a time was that the physical aspect of Qigong really allows me to kind of be in the body, that brings me into the present moment, because the body is always in the present moment, as you say, and made all the other things a lot easier. So doing those physical, those movement-based meditation practices just really worked well for me where other things hadn't. So I resonate with that answer very much.
Yeah, great.
There is a magic trick that you seem to have. I've known him practice with Lee as a student for over 14 years, and I've never seen him get angry. It always fascinates me. How do you do this? Can you give us a tip, and how does it relate to the power of slow?
Right? You should have seen me yesterday. No, I'm just kidding. Anger is not an emotion that I tune into very often. It is true. I rarely get angry, even parenting. There's been a few times, but it can be a good emotion. Anger, all emotions, even when the quote unquote negative emotions, serve their purpose. And, when you see an injustice or something's happening that's just really out of line with your values, it's easy to get angry. And maybe that is an appropriate emotion at the time. So it's not that we never want to feel anger. It's just that anger can really arise on little things. And some people, they can really get angry at inanimate objects. Like I saw somebody trying to put in a garbage bag into the garbage, and the garbage bag was really not complying with the shape of the garbage. And, they got so pissed off at this garbage bag, and I think we've all been there where we're just like this, and then we start swearing at the thing, and we start like, the car door won't unlock, or you forget your keys and you're in a hurry, anger can really arise up. And anger is a very powerful emotion. It's very strong. And when we receive somebody else's anger, it can be very hurtful to us. And when we say things in anger, often where our emotions are hijacked and we say something to somebody, it really hurts them, and then we feel bad later, especially later. And so with emotions, as I go through the book, I talk about relationships as the last section. Slowing down in our conversations and not necessarily needing to bring in urgency into everything somebody says, does. We can take a moment. So for me, when I'm parenting, or when somebody's done something that's really irritating or makes me feel frustrated, I always pause and I take a few minutes for myself. So in essence, I slow down before engaging in conversation until I feel better inside myself. So I tend to myself first, and that's has helped me tremendously in many aspects, whether it's parenting, relationships, whatever it is. Just slow down, tend to your own energy first, feel better, and then engage in conversation. And anger it's very fiery, so it can be very quick. And often it feels like the right thing to say because I'm angry at the moment, and later if it has caused so much damage. And speaking of saving time, after you're angry with somebody or somebody's angry with us, it takes a long time to unwind the emotional entanglement and the hurt feelings that have come. If we tend to ourselves first, we slow down. Hey, I'm feeling really upset by whatever you said. I'm going to take a little time for myself, take a little walk, come back in 15 minutes, engage in the conversation. It's much clearer, and it is the results often are way better. So there are some suggestions in the slow relationship section on communication, on intimacy, on all kinds of things, and showing how slowing down can really bring us the kind and quality of energy that we actually want.
Very nice. Yeah, it's such an interesting concept as slowing down into that sort of present moment awareness. Then often the things like anger that flow through just become less in control and more observed. And so that way you can actually let them do what they need to do to kind of not bring it into your relationship or conversation. And you are truly a master of that. I've seen it over the years as well. Very impressed.
Thank you, Ben.
Of course, man. Yeah, I've learned a lot through that. All right, here's one. Sometimes people get slammed into a slow life. Emphasis on slammed. Accidents, illness have to suddenly and permanently shift people. Letting go of a life one builds when not really wanting to can be tough. What do you suggest for people with slow down?
Wow, yeah, gosh, great question. There are no great answers to that question. There's only great answers for you. As the universe tells you to slow down, and for whatever reason. And for me, I'll speak from experience, and this goes back to one of my origin stories into Qigong, and that was an injury to my lower back playing soccer. So, going really quickly in a sport and then getting injure my low back, and then I can't walk fast. I remember that the whole next week, walking from class to class, I was late to every single class on campus because I had to walk so slowly. I was hobbling around and I was in pain. Towards the end of that week of walking slowly to class, I started to shift my awareness and going, gosh, I never noticed that tree right there. I never noticed how the squirrels did this at this particular area. I just started to enjoy now my new necessary slowness, and I wasn't always rushing to class. I could just take everything in, and I just tell the teacher, hey, I'm going to be late because I'm injured. First few days I was depressed because I was hurt and late, and then I'll start to enjoy things. And what led on the back end was me finding Qigong. So what was the worst thing that happened to me in my first 19 years of life ended up being a really great thing, because I'm not sure I would have found Qigong or have embraced it the way I did had that injury not occurred. So all of a sudden now I made a decision to go learn from somebody who taught me Qigong exercises for the lower back. That made such an impression on me that I wanted to now study Qigong, and I switched kind of my life choices. Instead of looking for a job when I graduated college, I looked for Qigong opportunities, and I traveled to Asia. And all of these things unfolded because of that. So you can have the awareness, and even speaking of good questions, like where am I is a good question, but also what wonderful things are going to happen on the other side of this challenging circumstance. And put your mind onto those wonderful things that might, or that can, or that will unfold from this life challenge.
Beautiful. I'm gonna bring one in that just hit the chat, and I think is somewhat related to what you're saying, but not super directly. I'm dealing with deep grief at the moment, and I've dealt with it by doing. Slowing down often leaves me dissolving in tears. Any suggestion?
Wow, and such great questions, guys. Again, these are like now starting to get into some of the advanced techniques of slowing down. Just because we're hurrying doesn't mean it's not there. It's just that we're not paying attention to it. If we don't pay attention to something, energetically, what we'll say in Chinese medicine, that qi will not flow, it won't circulate. We're just going to be like, I'm going to ignore you. What happens, it's like water that doesn't move. It then becomes stagnant. Stagnant water isn't healthy, and it will manifest in some way, shape, or form until we listen to it. So think of these emotions like good friends that need conversation with. If a good friend said, hey, I'm not feeling really good, can I tell you what's going on? We'll be like, sure, tell me what's going on. Or we might pick a time where we have 30 minutes or an hour to spend with that person to really listen to. Do the same thing for yourself. Find some time where you can slow down and have a listen, because energy is energy. And whether we are facing it or not facing it, it's there. If we deal with it consciously, we can help it along to become healthy. If we go about things unconsciously, usually what happens is some manifestation of that, because energy wants to be listened to, energy wants to be heard. For example, emotional pain or physical pain, pain is a signal to say, listen, pay attention, slow down, I need to be heard. So in listening will be the healing. In slowing down will be the healing, even though at first it will be challenging. So I would say a couple of things. Slow down, work with it, have some support, friends, family to support, to listen to you as you move through it. Journaling is great. Many professionals can be great. Psychologists, coaches. Come to our Q&As. We can support in a variety of different ways. Also doing something in Qigong that addresses grief. So spend some time working with the energy of the lungs. There's many of our programs with better breathing, Qigong for depression. We have a lot of things that work with that emotion so that it gets circulating and flowing. But first step, slow down, pay attention, notice where it is in your body, help that energy move and circulate and release.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's an interesting thing about grief. I think it's a prime example of what you're saying about slow is fast.
Yeah.
Because the thing about grief is that all you're doing is postponing working through it if you're just sort of avoiding it. And that's obviously hard not to do because it's so powerful at first, but it gets less and less so over time, invariably. So you just kind of have to get through the really intense part. And that's just going to take more months, weeks, years, days, whatever, however long, if you don't give it the time, if you don't slow down and be with it the way you're saying, it's still going to be there until it has its say. Like you said, the friend needs listened to.
Yeah.
So I think it's a perfect example of slow being fast. You can slow down into it, and you'll get through it a lot more quickly in the long run.
Yeah, that's so true. And with grief, there's always a lesson behind the emotion energetically, and often the lesson is that life is always changing, and that is just the truth about life. And some changes are harder for us individually than others, and when we get in tune with those changes, especially on the other side of grief, the lesson is there's more things to enjoy than what we've enjoyed in the past. There's more things, and that we often are grieving because we enjoyed somebody's company or that particular time so much. There'll be more of those experiences to come for us. But if we hang on to the past and not go with life's changes, we limit ourselves in what we can experience as we move forward towards the future.
Beautiful. Mr. Lee, was there a specific part of your book that you felt most connected to or brought you the most joy when writing it?
You know, it was funny too, because I thought what would be the most fun to write would be the movement parts, because I'm such a movement person. So the slow body section. And it was easy. And I moved through it pretty quickly on how to do Qigong exercises and breath work and all these different things that we can do with our bodies in terms of a slow approach, like even eating or drinking tea and whatnot. But I really enjoyed the slow mind section. It was more challenging for me to write, but I think that we all have this way in which we're working with our inner dialogue and our inner imaginations that are challenging. And I feel that at the root of a lot of problems that we as individuals face, as well as we as a collective face, is that the mind is often looking at the negative and the what ifs and the worries and ruminating about the past and the things it didn't like. And if we can really work with the energy of the mind and give some tips and tricks on how to guide and direct the stream of consciousness and the energy of the mind in positive, life-affirming ways, we create big change. And that was really fun to work on and work through. I rewrote that section many times, and there's some good stories, and I think some of them we read today, like the story with the Tibetan master.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that. We have just a few minutes left, folks. There are a number of logistical questions, so I think we'll just take a couple minutes, get those out of the way, and then we'll wrap things up here. So many people have asked about the audio book. Yes, Lee reads the audiobook, at least in English. I don't know if there will eventually be a French version and a Spanish version and a what have you. And if there is, probably Lee won't read it.
Probably, maybe by that time I'll have learned that language.
Yeah. Well, you know,
but I did just get confirmation that it's being, it got picked up by a UK publisher. So it will be published in the UK. It won't be called Ready, Set, Slow. In the UK, it's just going to be called Slow. Just Slow.
That's right.
Yeah, just and maybe I should read that with a British accent.
Yes, well, very nice. I believe that is available now. So if you are in the UK, you can order.
Yes,
just
it is.
Slow, and
the Portuguese edition just got picked up as well.
Very nice.
There we go.
So if you're in Portugal, I don't know how to say Ready, Set, Slow in Portugal, but you could probably find it in your own language.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
Will there be a Kindle edition? Yes, there is a Kindle edition. It did come out today. You can certainly buy it that way. Will you be able to download the audiobook into your Holden Qigong subscription library? No. Sorry, that is not.
Dang it, we didn't think of that.
Publishing and licensing works usually with big publishers like Sounds True. So we're unable to do that. Oh, Slow, you're arriving in UK on the 23rd of January. Thank you, Sam, for the info. So 2 more days for the UK before you can slowly get your Slow book. Can we order tea from David? Yes. hiddenpeakteahouse.com. Somebody will drop a link in the chat. The links, if you do get the audiobook or the book, I think Lee mentioned there are links to the exercise videos, including guided meditations. So you certainly can, you'll be able to get those to that page from the links in the book, whether you buy it, whatever format you buy. The links are quite simple, and you'll be able to get to that even if you bought the audiobook. So there's not guided meditation in the audiobook per se. It's separate, the list of what's the word? Exercises. Thank you. and the links to where to go and get the video guided version of those exercises. So that's all in the book. And if you purchase it, you will have access to that. And the last sort of logistical question is, can I get a link to order the book? We are posting the link to our page that then links out to various sellers. You can certainly find it anywhere. Ready, Set, Slow. If you search for it today on Google, it's quite a few places. So depending on which bookshop you like to support. One of the smaller ones that we're supporting with the link on our page that we're linking to in the chat is a bookshop. And a lot of people have been expressing in the chat they're pleased that it's available through a couple of those smaller bookstores as well. Lee, I know you bought your copy at a local bookstore today.
I did.
So yes, into supporting local bookstores, we have pretty good distribution. We think it'll probably be in your local as well. So if not, ask them for it. That'll be really helpful. So Lee, do you have any closing thoughts now that you are a published author of the soon-to-be best-selling book, Ready, Set, Slow? What do you want to leave people with on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, well, I'm just really filled with gratitude for everybody coming today and for us to be gathering together as a community and bringing this work out into the world. You know, for me, I always try to take myself out of the equation and say, how can this help, you know, in the world? And I always love being in service, of service to making a difference in a positive way. And that fills me up with inspiration, and seeing everybody's beautiful faces and our wonderful community here is such a joy for me. Just filled with appreciation for you, Ben, for supporting my work all these years, and our team, and putting together all the organization behind something, even something as simple as let's get on Zoom and share this information. It doesn't happen without somebody with a genius like Ben, you know, being able to pull it all together and create communities for us to express, you know, these ancient concepts in modern times. And I do feel like our modern times need these ancient wisdom practices maybe more now than ever before. And so that's kind of my mission, to just bring ancient wisdom to modern life and to infuse it with much more loving kindness and positive energy and healing light, so that we are happier, healthier people in ourselves and creating a happier, healthier world around us.
Beautiful. Well, excellent. Thank you so much, Lee, for taking the time today and for the wonderful answers to these great questions. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Thanks for your support, getting the slow method out there. You know, all of the things that Lee just said, that it really is a deep, passionate mission that we're on as a team, and that Lee's been on for much longer than I've been working with him. And all of your support is invaluable. You know, you can't have a movement without people who are part of the movement. So thank you so much for being here and being part of this movement. And with that, we've reached the end of our time. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks, guys. Much love.
Bye.